It's James Chan. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Tom.
Hi, thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm fine. Hope you all is fine too.
Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks very much. Now, I'm in Hong Kong. Where are you joining us from?
I'm from Jiangsu. We are located in Jiangsu province, Suzhou city.
Oh, Suzhou. Very nice. Wow. I mean, Suzhou is very famous in China, of course, but maybe not so well known out for overseas audiences, I guess. I, I suppose I would say that Suzhou is famous for its kind of ancient city, lakes, canals, and gardens. That's fair to say, right?
For beautiful skins and silk products.
Oh yes, silk, of course. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's certainly worth a visit and some shopping, I guess, if you go there. So great, thank you. And now, of course, to business. Can you tell us a bit about your company? Give us an introduction.
We are a packaging company. We specialize producing about paper bags, plastic bags, non-woven bags, or for promotional gift bags. And our company was established in 1998. So we have great experience and producing this kind of bags.
I see.
Now we
And
have widely cooperated brands.
oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay. Who are your major customers or your major markets?
Our main export market is Australia and South America.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. Thanks for that. So we'll find out more about that very soon, I imagine. Let's get our second guest on if we could. Producer Bobo. Oh, hi. It's Florence Ching. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing? You're in Qingdao, is that right?
Yes, it's kind of cold.
Yeah, I imagine so. Qingdao is a lot further north. I mean, in Hong Kong, everybody is talking about how it's the winter, thinking about maybe wearing a jacket. But I think in Qingdao,
Yeah.
winter is a bit more serious. So,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
all right. And could you tell us about your company? What do you make? And
Yes. Of course, we are a steel structure company, and we are mainly doing warehouse, workshop, poultry house, profile house, and container house.
Okay, interesting. And do you have a lot of overseas customers as well?
Yes, of course. Actually, we have did a lot of projects in abroad, over 100 countries.
Wow.
Yes, especially Africa, so Latin America, and Asia. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, so we're going to have a lot of interesting anecdotes to share, I imagine. Okay, thank you. And finally, let's bring on our third guest, and that is Leo Liang, who's from Best. Good morning, Leo.
Hello, Tom. Morning.
How are you doing?
Yeah, fine. And you?
Very well, thank you. And where are you calling us from?
From Shenzhen.
Shenzhen, just very close to Hong Kong indeed.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Yeah, I think in terms of winter weather, we're probably doing the best out of all the people in this call. So, and so can you tell us a bit about your company? Give us a brief introduction.
My company is Shenzhen Yusun-based Electronic Company Limited. And my company is a professional storage solution supplier in such as micro SD card, USB flash drive, SSD, just like this. Yes.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
And again, like what are the main overseas destinations for Best products?
Yes. Okay.
So I mean, like what different countries do you have customers in?
Mm-hmm.
What countries do your customers come from?
Maybe in US or Europe, our company.
I see. Understood. All right. Well, fantastic. So today's topic, as we know, is leaping the language barrier. So far, we seem to be doing that okay ourselves. But just to get a bit of background, I'd like to ask each of you. Well, let's start with Leo. So, what languages do you use mostly in your business?
Uh, with our suppliers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing English and Mandarin. Any other languages?
Yes. Maybe when you use language with when we communication with our suppliers, uh, I think it's not being clear with our suppliers when because maybe the difference is between the local language and professional terms of our suppliers and ours. I I think it's major lens to communication barriers.
Understood. Yeah. I mean, let's throw this question over to James as well. I mean, I'm guessing you mostly were working with English and Mandarin as well. What are some
Yeah.
difficulties that you encounter most often?
I think the first is vocabulary, and the second is about accent,
Mm.
and the third is grammar.
Grammar, interesting. Can you give an example of a
For
grammar problem?
example, in Chinese, we say the time will be at the beginning. For example, we will have a meeting in the morning. In English, in the morning is at the end of the sentence, but in Chinese, we will state it at the beginning of the sentence.
Ah, I'm
So
with
this
you.
is
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, that's right. And most of the time, of course, that doesn't cause too much trouble, but sometimes it
Yes.
will. Yes, definitely. All right. And Flora, how about you? What are some of the? Oh, sorry. First, I should ask again. I guess English and Mandarin are your main business languages.
Yes, English is the mostly used.
Yeah, and I think well, that's something we're going to come to later because, of course, you've mentioned Latin American, African destinations for your products, where those are not necessarily the native languages as well. But we'll come back to that later. What do you find on an everyday basis are the common difficulties with language barrier issues?
I think for the James side, the vocabulary, grammar, and accent is very important. But I think in our field, the very important is what did you understand the client send to you. Sometimes they will send some details for you, and I think if you can understand well for what did they see, it is very important for us.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I suppose, yeah, I guess when it becomes a dangerous problem is when you think you understood, but perhaps you did
Yeah.
not. Yeah. So, all right. I mean, it's interesting actually that both you and James have mentioned accent as a thing as well, because the second question that we had on our list, and I'll tell the viewers now, by the way, just so you have a bit of the background. We do have a list of points we're going to discuss before we start. So if we refer to the next question, that's what we mean. Yeah. So the next question on that list is: do you find that there are differences in speaking or using English with a native speaker, or, and I think this is pretty common, for example, if you have a client in Brazil, their native language is going to be Portuguese, and your native language is, I assume, Mandarin or the Chinese Fangyan, but you'll be speaking English to each other. Is that quite different from doing business with someone who speaks English as a native language? And I guess, to be fair, I should ask that to James, because you mentioned accents first. Do you find it's very different?
Yes, the pronunciation is different, even if the same words. I
Yeah.
met many problems about this. We can't learn from each other. we learn from different teachers.
Right.
So if the teacher's pronunciation is not right, then maybe we also get wrong pronunciation. So that's the point.
Yeah, that can be a problem. Is that something, Leo, have you noticed that as well? Do you find a difference
Yes.
between native and non-native?
Okay. I agree with James. I think the biggest people is in different Asians is native English speakers. Maybe they have many abbreviations. So I think the important is the difference is Asian. I agree with the Jin.
Yeah, interesting. How about you, Flora? Do you have similar thoughts?
Yes, but I think almost of clients there have some
Language
local
barrier.
words. Sorry, any question? Now
Okay,
okay. There have most of clients are used to some local words. You must know their culture, and then you will know what words they usually used. It's very important for us.
that's interesting. Can you give an example of one that you encountered?
Yes, like we are mainly doing steel structure, and some countries clients are like to use prefer to shade, or some clients are prefer like to warehouse, and some clients are prefer to factory. It is very different. You must yes learn their culture and guess what words they are used to. So it's very important, I think.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point, actually. I mean, English native speakers often enjoy comparing how they have different words for different
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
and that's normally quite fun. But actually, yeah, technical terms and especially not science and technology terms, but yeah, business terminology like locations and names of like deliveries and things like that are often very different. Yeah, that is a great point. I'm also very interested by Leo's noticing that or pointing out that actually native speakers create their own problems, which I wonder if I'm doing now, which is because they're more comfortable in English, or if you were speaking Spanish, I guess it would be the same in Spanish, but they'll talk faster, which I'm trying very hard not to do all the time in these live streams, or they will use some abbreviation, some slang, and they'll forget that the other person has no way to have learned that word. Like, these are not things you learn at school. I know that when I have meetings that are in Chinese, uh, I often have to check with people afterwards what has just been said
Yeah.
because of these similar issues. So I understand and feel that pain. Actually, I had a note here that I'd like to um, share and see what you guys think about it, which is that I think that, and this is similar to Flora's thing about learning culture, it can be useful to learn the basics of a language even if you don't intend to speak it, um, so that you could understand like why, say, a Portuguese speaker might use a certain kind of uh, English words, even if it's incorrect. I'll give an example so this makes sense, right? I remember back when I was at university in Beijing, I was sitting reading a book in my room, and uh, a friend of my roommate came in, and he said to me, "What do you look?" And now that's not really an English question, but I think all three of you know exactly what he was asking me, because in Chinese that would have been 你看什么, and the word to look and to read is the same. And because I knew that, I could understand his question. But if I didn't know that, I would have like, what? So I mean, do you guys ever try to, yeah, how do you learn about the background culture of your clients? Maybe Flora, because you mentioned this. How do you research and find that out?
Sorry,
So
pardon.
when you mentioned like having to learn the culture of the customer or of the other party, how do
Uh-huh.
you do that? Do you you know
Learn some culture from local.
yeah, how do you find out about them?
Uh, usually we will talk about our client, about our project, and through talking the project, we will know more the different culture with us. So when I got some details, I will search from the internet or ask some local people or local person. Well, what's the culture from your side? What should we do? Or yes, we will more know it from the internet or ask some local.
Oh, that's great. I mean, that's like extra homework. Leo and James, do you do something similar ever?
Yes, we will check the website or ask if I have client in the same position. I will check with her.
Oh, that's great. Leah, how about you? You said yes as well. I mean, yeah, I think I wonder if buyers should be doing that more as well. So that's a tip for the viewers. Try and do some background research. That can't hurt, I guess.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the next point. I think now we get to this is the key question for buyers who are watching this, and that's how to deal with these problems. So I'm going to ask Leo this question first, I think, which is about. I'd like to hear about one time that you had a problem because of language issues, and then how did you solve that problem? How did you overcome it? Can you give us an example?
For example, my company product is USB flash, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe some people, when they look for the USB, they will just say the name, but no example or no any picture for me reference, right? So so we usually use more picture and manuals to introduction our products through formal emails. Yes, we just like to do that.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. I've definitely sat through a few PowerPoint presentations where I was not following what was being said, but I definitely knew what was going on. So yeah, right. I mean, of course, images are the universal language, right? So you can't go wrong. Yeah, if you point to a picture and say, "Do you mean this?" and they say yes, then yeah, that's very smart thinking. James, how about you? What's an issue you encountered with language barriers?
About 2 years ago, I met a guy called Modi at the Canton Fair. He's from India and he speaks very fast.
Yeah.
In 1 second, he can speak like chip 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 at least 5 times with strong accent. It's a really hard time for us. And what he interested in our paper bags. I remember that he said he will open a new shop. I can't remember how many times I said pardon. It is really an embarrassment time. So we just can by writing and some body language to understand with each other. Finally, the lucky thing is we made an agreement. It is really an impressive thing. I still remember today.
That's excellent. Yeah. Of course, writing that. That's the thing that you see a lot, especially in Hong Kong, where language barriers are often a thing in the tourist areas. I would say the old write the number on a calculator and just show it. That's classic, right? So yeah, that's again, good thinking. Body language goes a long way. Flora, how about you? What's a problem you had, and how did you solve it?
Yes, we have many clients from Latin America, but there are most of clients prefer like to speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's very difficult for us because I just speak a little. It can't talk talk with them like English. So we must talk them by Google. But
Oh yes, yeah.
sometimes, yes, the Google is not exactly can express what did we see. So I'm learning Spanish right now. I hope one day I could speak like my English. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, well, that would be good. But yeah, of course, yeah, Google Translate or other translation options are available. But that is a very good point. And it's funny you mentioned Spanish. We had a Global Sources online show a few
yeah.
months ago. I was, for some reason, put in charge. Well, no, I know why. Because I do speak Portuguese, but I don't speak Spanish. But I still had to recruit Spanish-speaking guests. So I used a lot of Google Translate in my emails. Yeah, you're right. It does work, but you do have to be careful. And I guess um, I suppose, yeah, like I suppose you also have to be aware that people are often are doing the same thing the other direction. So if you're a buyer and a supplier says something or sends you an email that seems weird or a bit rude, um, you I think you need to assume they're not being weird and they're not being rude. It's just that something has gone a little wrong, right? And you know, and the thing is, if you assume that people are trying their best, even if they are being rude, it doesn't matter because you won't feel any stress. So it's it's a good way to live your life. All right, um, so those are all very good and interesting, different examples as well, which I find yeah very interesting. And also, I noticed there is this shared kind of answer of uh, being patient and taking the time to do what you need to do. So Leo, with his example of using more images, of course that takes more time because you have to prepare those images and send them and say, is this what you mean? Similarly, James's tale of Moody and the writing and body language. This all adds time, but it is that patience that I guess you need to make sure you're going to have a good outcome. Um, let's take the conversation a bit broader than okay, just individuals. Are there things that your companies do to minimize the difficulties of language barriers? Well, let's start with Flora. Is there something that Sango does, like as a policy or as a common practice, to help with language problems?
Uh, Yes. When we come to our company, our manager will prepare some meeting for us. Like they will get a list for what we usually use the words. We need to receive the words every day. Yeah.
That's a good idea, actually. Yeah, I do that sometimes when I'm going shopping and I know I need to say something in Cantonese, so I'll look it up before I go. Um, Leah, how about Ushun Best? What does
Yeah.
the company do to help with language difficulties?
Mm,
The language.
our company usually use the formal email or more files to introduce us to yes.
So yeah, it's kind of using written word more to as the standard way to approach overseas customers.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And James, how about you guys up in Suzhou? Do you have any kind of company practices that help you out?
Yeah, our company encourage us to speak English every day, and they also, if we can divide it into two teams competition. Once we will have could have a party or something else to encourage us.
All right, that's that sounds fun. I don't know, is it fun or is it stressful? Or both, I guess. Okay. Yeah, I wonder what buyers can do in a similar way. Maybe they can force themselves to practice Mandarin before they visit China. I think a lot of buyers could do with that. Let's see. And then, so I think we'll be moving to some audience questions soon. Is that right? But if we have any, no, I'm not sure. I'll check with the producer later. But yeah, our final question then is, and you can answer this in as short or as long an answer as you like, which is, what is your advice for anyone doing business over the language barrier? If someone said, what's like your one or two things you would tell somebody, what would it be? Let's start with Leo. What's your best advice for language barrier problems?
I feel we have to be careful about what the buyer say, what the customer needs, what the requirement they are. Yes, I think this is important. This is an attitude. One careful attitude to this.
Yeah, thank you. Very wise words. And James, how about you? What's your top tip?
Practice more and do our best to make right pronunciation. Try to watch same language videos to learn more vocabulary. Something like this. As this method.
More homework, basically. All right. And Flora, how about you? Your advice to people doing business over a language barrier?
I think actually the most important when a client sends your message, you must reply him immediately. It's very important to build the trust with him. And another important is you must understand well what the client side. Yes, it is very important. These two advice.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Great advice from everyone. And this, the message that I think unifies all of your advice and your observations is that, yeah, you really need to be conscientious about the attitude, take the extra time that you need. Or in the case of replying immediately, yeah, make sure you say something as a reply and then take the time to do a full reply. Now as to like what buyers can take from that, if I allow myself a bit of a platform, is obviously if you're watching this at home or on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn, this is all from the supplier's point of view. But hopefully what this has done is given you some insight into the issues that they're facing. And, I think you should be fairly able to work out therefore how the suppliers to you. So even if you're speaking your own native language when you're doing the business, the problems that are faced at the other end are things like making sure that you're being clear when you send a message. I for one, will love using a complicated or fancy turn of phrase when I send a message. But if it's an important business communication, don't do that. Keep it simple and clear. Also be understanding about if it takes someone a little bit of time to reply to something, or if their reply, needs clarification. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification. And as a language learner, if I can give one face-to-face conversation tip, if somebody asks you to repeat what you just said, say exactly the same thing again. Don't use a different word because they just didn't hear it properly the first time. Okay, I think we've all learned that. Oh, we've got some questions coming in. Let's pop some of those up on the screen. Oh, from Angel. So as Mandarin is getting popular nowadays, have you ever met any buyers who use Mandarin to talk to you while doing business? So in other words, have you been the native speaker and have they been the one in a second language? Leo, how about you? Anyone using Mandarin from overseas? I think we lost him. James, how about you?
Mandarin.
I haven't met.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
I suspect it's still slowly growing. Flora, any Mandarin speakers?
Yes, I met some clients that use Mandarin, but it's from China.
Well, that doesn't count. Or does it? Yeah, I guess. All right. I mean, yeah. Okay. Good answer. I think. All right. Let's. Do we have any other comments? Let's see. Oh, from Ebony B. Oh, just a message was sent. This has given a lot of insight. I thought the time difference was an issue, but now I know sometimes they may not understand. Well, I mean, the time difference is also an issue. Let's be fair. But so yeah, thank you guys for your great insights there. And who else do we have? What products does Flora's company deal with? Oh, yeah, Flora, could you briefly say what your company produces again?
Our company introduced, right?
Yeah, your products that you make.
Yes. Actually, can you see here?
Probably not really.
Yeah. This is our main product. We are mainly doing warehouse, like this
Yeah,
your warehouse. The different warehouse we did it in the different country. You can see this catalog.
different kinds of structures. Well, yeah, I would recommend, yeah, if you want to get a closer look at those products, and indeed for
Yeah.
those from James or Leo's companies, you can click in the description of this video. There should be some links to their product listings on globalsources.com where you can contact them directly for more information as well in the language of your choice. Let's see. What are some issues you're having with shipping?
Oh my God, I want to see.
Sorry,
About
what?
yeah, yeah.
Yes, go on, go on.
Because for shipping recently, I met a very a big question for me. I got a deal at July, and when we finished the product, the shipping raised twice. Yes, the firstly, each container is $2,000, and when we finished, it's become to the $4,000. Yeah, it's very not good for me. But finally, I talked with his client because he want to get his cargo as soon as possible. So I undertake this extra cost for him and delivery my cargo. So I think it's very important when you contract with the client. It's better to mark the shipping cost will decide finish the products. Yeah.
Right, right. So, yeah. Shipping is a complex and difficult topic, in fact. Oh, and got another one in from Wong Chun Hin. He says, "Hi all. Do you think emails and messaging apps are the most significant ways to solve the language barrier problems while doing business?" Yeah, well, I mean, Leo, you are a fan of using emails. Do you think they're the best ways? Do you use messaging as well, such as WeChat or WhatsApp?
Yes, I think maybe it's in the important formal emails.
Yeah, I agree. Because you have
Okay.
that, yeah, you have that time to, well, as mentioned, look words up before you reply. How about James? Do you think emails and messaging apps are the way to
Yes,
go?
I think emails is the best way. I can have full time to prepare what I'm saying, and we can see all the details listed in emails, so that can avoid many problems.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, of course you have the chain of previous emails that you can read back again and double check. Yeah, often important. Flora, do you agree?
Yeah, usually we will talk about some questions by WhatsApp, but sometimes we must confirm some very important questions by email. It can mark yeah.
Yeah, so like WhatsApp is okay for initial contacts, but then for serious business you would use email?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right. I think we may have, so we've got a few comments like great insights. Thanks for sharing these great insights. I think the questions, however, have dried up. Although having said that, if you are watching this on the on-demand video, you can also leave comments for our guests, and we will try and hook you up. Or, as mentioned earlier, if you look in the description, you'll see the links to their company. So if you have questions for any of our suppliers who've been with us today, you can contact them directly through globalsources.com. So, all right, I think we're going to wrap it up there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for spending this time.
Thank you.
Andy, thank you for leaping the language barrier and doing all this in English. I know that I would be terrified to do the same thing in Mandarin. So I salute your bravery and I appreciate your language skills very much indeed. So take care and I wish you all the best.